The zero product property is the property that allows us to solve quadratic equations by factoring. So for example, if you had 2x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0, we need this property in order to solve for x. And this property doesn't often get enough credit, I don't think, for exactly how important it is. But here's the property, and we'll do a little explanation of what this property is and why it is so important. So the property says that for real numbers, if we have two real numbers being multiplied that equal 0, then we know that either the first number, a, must be 0, or the second number, b, must be 0. So this is cool because without even knowing what a or b is, I know for sure the value of one of those numbers. So notice, let's try a few examples. If we had 3 times 0, I can confirm that that's 0. Or 0 times 4, that's 0. Or it would work if both of these numbers were 0. So when we say or, we mean one or the other or both must be 0. Now if that's not true, let's say we have two numbers that are multiplied where neither one is 0, there's no way that that's going to multiply to be a product of 0. And I can try this with negatives, I can try this with fractions, any real numbers that I want, but if neither of them is 0, then my answer will not be 0. Alright, and this makes sense. You know that this is true, but we state this property as something that's very important because this is not true in all mathematical systems. So this is a property that's special for the real numbers and some other systems, but not all. Now note that there's nothing special about two real numbers that are multiplied to just equal another number that's not 0. So if I knew, for example, that a times b was 15, well, then I don't really know anything about a and b. I might know that, or I might take a guess that a is 3 and b is 5, but it could be 5 and 3, or 1 and 15. No one said that these had to be whole numbers. This could be 1/2 and 30. No one said that these had to be positive. This could be negative 30 and positive 1/2, or I'm sorry, and negative 1/2. And there's actually an infinite number of options for what a and b could be. So this is not helpful if I have two real numbers equal to a number. So this property is only helpful if I have two numbers that equal 0. So let's look at what this looks like for algebraic expressions. In this first example, I have x plus 2 times x minus 1. And notice that if x is just some real number, we're trying to find its value, then these orange boxes, or these two binomial factors here, this kind of represents our a and our b. So if we have those two parentheses being multiplied equal to this number, to 24, there's nothing special about this. This doesn't allow us to solve and know what x is. It could be any number of things. However, if we have two parentheses, two expressions being multiplied that equal 0, then this is helpful. This is special. I can use that property, and I know for sure that one of those things, either the x plus the 2 or the x minus 1, must equal a 0. And this is helpful. This is your property that allows you to kind of split those two expressions into two different equations. And now these are linear equations which we already know how to solve. So from there, I would be able to solve and figure out that x either equals negative 2 or x equals 1. And notice that word or, it's not an and, so we're not saying that x is negative 2 and 1. We're saying that there are two possibilities. X could be one of those numbers, or it could be the other. And let's test this out and make sure that this is true. So we had x plus 2 times x minus 1 equals 0. And let's test both cases. So let's test the case when x is negative 2. All right, so then what we would have is negative 2 plus 2 times negative 2 minus 1. And that gives 0 times negative 3, and there's the 0 we were expecting, and that does equal 0. So that's true. All right, and then if we test the other one, x equals 1, then I'd have 1 plus 2 and 1 minus 1, and that gives me 3 times 0. There's the 0 we were expecting, and 3 times 0 is 0. Right, so that does work, and that is the zero product property.